All right. So today I have someone I relate to very, very deeply. Someone just like me who is an outsider to the automotive industry and is making his mark and his company's mark, of course, in the global auto tech space. From a small town in Jharkhand to tasting success in the global markets, Sanjay has come a long way. Sanjay, it's so nice to see you here.
Thanks, Varun. Thanks for the lovely introduction and inviting me for the podcast. And great to be talking with you again.
Just exactly a week back, we were grabbing a beer in Gurgaon, and now we are here. So I just thought that, yeah, that since I have some amazing conversations with you, why not really have this one conversation where the whole world can listen to us? So that is why we are here. So just for the audiences, Sanjay, can you just explain what exactly does Spine do?
Right. So at Spine, we are looking to solve merchandising as a problem for internet commerce. Right. So any seller which is going to sell their product and services online, they fundamentally struggle to get their product visuals in a best possible shape. Right. So agencies, photographers, all these folks basically come to the help, but very very high end companies or the sellers are brands basically are able to access those agencies because of their costs as well as accessibility, right? So 98-97% of the sellers are not able to access that niche. So this is where we thought to create an ecosystem where can we help the sellers in tier 2 tier 3 locations to produce as good looking visuals as possible and created by top brands, right? Without getting I mean engage with those agencies and all those photographers. So we have built a tech that understands how a category has to be shot, and then it processes those images into pretty high quality visuals, right? And then integrates via integration. It also publishes all the content on the websites, marketplaces, social media, all these places, right? So this is where we reduce this entire agency work, the expensive agency work, which goes up to maybe 7 to 10 days to about a day, and seller gets their task done. Right. So we, by building this tech, we are also looking to open up the market for those 98% long tail sellers, which are not able to access those high-end agencies. Yeah.
So, just for context for the viewers, photography stuff. Because it's fun, but then it's tough because you need to get the right quality visuals. You need to have your brand appear professional. You
Yeah.
definitely don't want to appear less premium compared to some other listing which is there on Amazon or any other site online. And even if you hire a professional photographer, there is a long process to just integrate it with the website. So using Spine, you are able to do it end to end, and basically you are just able to use your products out there. Just think of it this way: that what would the point of e-commerce and tech and everything else be if you can't even show your products? So at a very fundamental level, Spine solves this problem, and I think that's the simplicity of it, which is super appealing for a lot of people. And just to speak about it, Sanjay, so you were an AI company before AI was cool, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know, in around end of 2021, everyone started talking about AI when Chat GPT came in. But
Right.
what was your initial tryst with AI, and when did you decide to position yourself as an AI company?
So it was super tough like few years back, right? So I mean, there's not lot much of research happening in the space, not enough data present as well. So I remember, and back in my corporate days, I was working at Oyo and the earlier companies. So there was use case in Oyo where we used to provide guidelines for to the photographers that this is how you should be shooting the hotels, the
Yeah,
properties,
yeah,
and those properties, the rules use which those photographers have to follow, and they
yeah.
used to submit the photos to our backend system, and then there are a set of people who used to validate against those rules whether the photos are correct or not, right? So that
Hmm.
was how the ecosystem was built. So
Hmm.
gradually computer vision came, right? We converted some of these rules into algorithms, and started QCing, like quality checking, almost like 60-70% of the photos that were submitted by the photographers in the ecosystem. So that basically give the genesis to this idea ki, hey, and behind the scenes check, can we just bring those checks onto a mobile application that can just eliminate all these like to and fro communications, as well as make the entire process very very efficient, right? So we started as a company, we started building a post production company first, which used to support companies like Oyo, Amazon, some of the auto tech companies for their post production work. Right? They used to get the photos. We used to get the photos from the photographer that we used to deploy for them. And once we got the photos by the photographers that who were shooting those objects, we created our own mechanism, like internal automation uh, mechanism through which we used to vet those photos and also pre-process those photos, post-process those photos, right? So 70-80% of the automation we were doing in those like early phase of the company start. That gave us an idea ki, hey, this is working pretty well, and auto was picking up like
Yeah,
slightly auto was ahead of the curve compared to the other categories for us, right?
yeah,
So we completely went very deep into the auto space and launched the application which enabled like companies like Card Dekho, Cast 20, just to name a few clients who were early adopters, Ola, all of these companies who tried our application to shoot the cars on the field and got those high quality visuals right away published on the portals, right? So
uh, yeah. I think there's a lot to kind of unpack here. So I think first of all, on a lighter note, I think there's something going on in the hotels industry, because whenever I'm looking to book a hotel for myself, the
yeah,
rooms just look so fabulous. And until you get into one, you're like, oh, maybe the picture was a little different, wasn't it? So probably the hotel industry has like hyper optimized. Maybe on the day of photography, they just like make everything look super good. But anyways, I think that's besides the point. And of course, auto is a great sweet spot. I mean, I've realized for visualization, and you have realized through visualization, both of
right,
us were not really I would say from the automotive industry in the first place, but we realized that yes, visualization is a great word when it comes to showing cars, because
yeah,
there is need to go at scale, and we are actually doing it. And I think it's also a lot to really speak about the fact that all the companies you mentioned, Cast 24 and the others, the fact that they essentially trust you to do this till date.
right,
And you know a lot of people would think, oh, can't they make their own?
exactly,
Even I get this question asked so many times. Oh, can't an OEM make their own real-time 3D? Similarly, I'm sure that you get this. Even a lot of people would be asking you this question on various forums, like investor meetings and everything else. That,
right,
oh, can't they build their own thing? They have enough funds. Well,
yeah.
while I would probably know the answer, but let's hear it from you. How do you answer this question?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time, right? So
Yeah,
the bigger companies which have funds to spare, they'll think
yeah,
they can do everything. But
yeah,
yeah, there itself is the catch, is right.
yeah,
So because you are solving one primary problem and like 20 secondary problem that will be needed to be solved in order to like do justice to that particular primary problem, right? So like Cast 24 or any equivalent companies, they're there to solve uh, the purchase and selling of the car, right? That is their core objective, right? So building pricing, building all those model that effectively solve the selling part of the car is the key goal of the company, right? So I mean, you have all these companies which are building a lot of tech. So companies like us, the fundamental advantage that we bring to the table is that it is not only one of the companies that is using us, but a lot of marketplaces, right? So we day in day out work with a lot of companies through which we get enormous amount of data, right?
yeah,
And this is the only problem that we solve, other than like 20 problem that a company like Cast 24 would be solving.
yeah,
So if you benchmark us in terms of quality of output that we can deliver versus some other companies would be delivering, there are like fundamentally two three factors that can affect this particular part. One is your sophisticated data annotation layer. Second is the kind of I mean, the images that you keep on getting, right? Various kind of cars are you seeing? And third is the kind of focus. The most important part is the focus, right? So because we are only focusing on this particular problem, so even with a small team, we'll be able to do much higher justice than a company like Cars 24 or in the company which is solving maybe 20 different problems, right? So these are the key differentiators. Also, I would suggest why these images are extremely important, especially for the automotive industry, is that why this technology has worked more in automotive compared to any other sector is because you from the automotive industry you know very clearly that one average used car typically gets sold at about like 25 to $30,000 in the US, Europe, like Western markets. And typically, any dealer that procure a car uh, finance that particular car because they do not have all their funds available. Even if they have the funds available, even then also you are incurring an interest loss. The more number of days car is within their inventory, right? So their only motive is ki the moment they have brought the car within their inventory, how can they sell it as fast as possible, right? And one of the fundamental drivers is the images, right? So good looking images. So it is well proven that if you place two cars, one is shot in dirty looking surroundings or not well shot, and other is shot in a studio, the cars which are shot in studio will drive much higher conversions, right? So most of the companies actually are familiar of that. This basically is a fundamental driver of the conversion of the cars and can save a lot of money in terms of interest loss, right? So consumers also see that this car is there in the inventory for let's say 20 25 days, so probably something is wrong with that car, right? So
Yeah,
chances of getting that car sold reduces the more number of days the car is within the inventory, right? So these two
yeah,
factors combined, so that's where we are seeing that connecting both the problems, that this problem is important, but there are companies which can do like better justice, and you need to match the quality level that we can provide, right? So this is where we think that a lot of companies, despite them feeling that it can be built in house, but quality is something which will take time
for
to
sure,
be.
for sure. And it's as someone who is probably building the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's something that I can totally relate to. But just for a few people out there, with a more product management background and everything else, let's just try to dive into some of the enhancements you made to your core platform. You mentioned about the fact that because of your focus on this space, you are not only able to build the core tech, but also a lot of other things that made the adoptability and the success much faster. So, can you walk us through some of those features you built or some of those functionalities you built? So, and basically, how does Spine in 2018 and 2019 look different from the Spine of 2024?
Yeah, I mean 2019, not 2019, but late 2020 maybe. So we
Whatever,
were
yeah, yeah. Whatever time when you started
yeah,
first your first
yeah,
product
exactly.
from there till now. Yeah,
So we were multi-category product back in 2020, early 2020, and next 2 years we were like multi-category. But last 1 year or so, we have just focused on building like the best possible tech available in the automotive space, and this
yeah,
is driving results for us as well because of the focus that we brought into this particular category, right?
right.
So in the industry, if you see the kind of techs that are available, they will do background removal for no matter what kind of object you throw into,
Yeah,
right? So background removal is one of the fundamental available tech that is there for all the auto dealerships, and this is what most of the companies were using earlier. What we brought into it is that you know that most of the used cars companies, at least the bigger ones, actually set up those heavy duty turntable studios where the cars are driven to, the motor rotates, and there's an automated camera that keeps on clicking the images, right? Because
yeah.
the dealers who can afford this sets it up because
And just
uh,
to give an idea, that one of those machines would cost 45 to $50,000 just to
easily
buy one time.
only the turntable, and then the setup cost
Yeah,
would be another
exactly,
100K, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah,
so roughly 150K worth of like one time investment, and
yeah.
then maintenance
And
work.
plus the space. So if you're a dealer, who wants to buy this, you are like down by 55, $60,000 just to buy
Exactly.
that, you know, tent or that location,
Yeah.
and you are actually having a lot of space that is only used, for this.
For this space.
Driving the cars inside this area, you are rotating them, and then you're driving out. So just
Exactly.
think of from a logistics point of view as well. And this
Yeah.
is what dealers had been doing for the last, like, decades, right? So yeah,
Exactly. After around 20
yeah,
years. Yeah. So this is where we brought the concept key. Hey, let us show you a technology which using which you can shoot the car using a walk around video. Just move around the car, shoot a video outside your dealership location, and you choose the studio that you would have purchased from the physical
yeah,
studio companies, right?
yeah,
We'll just replicate those studios for you, exactly similar looking version. In fact, we have showed two images to the dealers. One is physical studio, one ours, and asked them out of 20 images, just mark which one is real, which one is digital. And we got like 50-50 probability in most of the cases, right? So that is the accuracy that we are trying to achieve in the company right now. Right. So this is not what most of the companies have built. Most of the companies have done like background removal, one shadow placement at the bottom. What we do is we create deeper reflections using deep tech models. We correct the auto tilting, perspective correction. We auto generate the inside view of the car. So let's say it is an Audi A3. So Audi's A3 would look different outside view in compared to, let's say, Toyota Altis, Corolla Altis, right? So we regenerate the interior body of the car. So that's the kind of model that we have created. We correct the tint portion of the car. So we remove the reflections of the tree on the car body. So a lot of these like 25 to 30 odd different computer vision models that we have created behind the scenes, which have been built so far by using maybe 20 million plus annotated data that we keep on getting from our production customers, right? And there's a team that keeps on correcting them and start feeding them into the model, right?
what's the process that you take to really say that, hey, this is something that we need to optimize for? I'm sure it involves a lot of going to the field, personally speaking with dealers, getting their inputs and their feedback, showing them a lot of images that let us know which is the one that actually works the best from all these. So can you walk our viewers through the process of the amount of work that just goes into decision making on what to adopt and what to do? How does that work like?
So we generally target small dealers in the US, right? So not the large scale companies. OEMs are not the target segments for us yet. We might target them in futures to go to their dealers, uh, uh, like one to many kind of an approach. But right now we are mostly targeting dealers, and these dealers, all of these dealers in the US, majority of dealers in the US and Europe have their websites, right? So and the fundamental mode of selling in the US right now is that every car that is procured, they will be photographed and they will be published on their website and marketplaces, right? So when we pitch to the dealer, we open their website. What we have done is we have created a Chrome plugin, right? That Chrome plugin we just open up. We show various kinds of backgrounds on that particular Chrome plugin. Just apply that plugin, and in real time we show them, ki, hey, this is how your website was, and in just 1 minute we transform that entire website and show them this is how it will be, and it will be
Yeah.
very similar to CarMax, Carvana, these kind of companies which have spent like tens of millions of dollars in setting up hundreds of studios across the country, right? So
Yes.
when we show this kind of like transformation in real time to them and show them how Carvanas and CarMax of the world have done it, right? So they understand, okay, so this is a different tech compared to what has been sold to them by various other companies right now in the industry, right? So yeah, I mean, going deep into one segment and cracking it like no one else has done it in the like quality is the core focus for us. Can we create a quality which is unparalleled? No one has
Sure.
done that,
Sure.
right? And
Sure. And I think you are a very product-led company, not
yes,
really a sales-led company.
yeah,
uh, and that is obviously seen from your background in engineering and the
yeah,
fact that you are involved in a lot of these things. So many a times you might have gotten to a point where something is acceptable for the market, but you are hungry to really get to the next iteration. And I can
exactly,
so relate that with Gaurav, who is my co-founder, while I lead business in Gaurav Tech.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think there's something amazing about you guys, tech founders, which just naturally keeps you guys ahead of all the
We keep
uh,
raising the bars of the quality.
yeah, just the number guys out there who are just looking to see, okay, what is the right product market fit, and then how do I scale up. So while
Right.
that is a 30,000 level way of discussing, but eventually if you get down to the core bottom, there are a lot of these small decisions that you make that keep you ahead over the course of next few years, and I think that's actually amazing about being a tech co-founder of other company. Now walk me through your US market, right? Because what were the assumptions that you first had when you entered the US market, and now I think you have a few hundreds of maybe 200 plus, correct me if I'm wrong,
So in
rooftops in the
rooftops,
US.
it would be like 600 plus already rooftops,
Amazing,
right?
amazing. Yeah. So from 0 to 600 plus rooftops in the US, walk us through the journey of that. And this question, I think, would be very relevant to any GTM guys out there, those who are Indian entrepreneurs looking to do business in the US. Uh, yeah, while of course it is not easy, but eventually, how did you navigate that journey? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I think it started from very fundamentals that we solved the the production of a car visual at the core, right? So
Yeah,
a car is a universal object, right? So if you have solved it for an Indian car, it will work for a US car or work for any other country, right? So the core behavior remains the same. The car can be shot outside, and it has to be presented in a very neat, premium looking setting, right? So, and that fundamental premise worked from day one of our launch because 2.5 years back, when we launched our technology, then we got clients from Brazil, we got clients from Norway, we got clients from India. So all three geographies, we had like 4 to 5 clients in the first quarter or 4 months of launch. So we understood that a product will work. Now the problem was the GTM, right? So also, why US? Why not like other geographies, right? So there are 2 3 decision points that we we evaluated very deeply before we came to this particular conclusion. One was that US, Europe, you'd know, like both are equivalent markets in terms of automotive.
yeah, it is the number one car market, right? If
Yeah.
you just look at US by itself, and
And
yeah,
overall,
so I think
it is
that's
also, almost equivalent US, right? If you combine all the
yes,
countries in
yes,
Europe,
yes, of
it is
course.
almost equivalent to US, right? So we're already evaluating. Uh, US is still slightly far away. Europe is still like more relatable, right? So you can travel more often to Europe. So
Sure.
which particular continent you should get into first was one of the questions that we were trying to answer. And
Yeah,
the clear answer was that US is one of the unique countries where you're like 50 different uh, countries kind of a thing that behave similarly, right? So if you're able to crack your technology in a small city in Texas, it will work in New York, it will work in Florida, it will work everywhere, right? So because the same set of partners, same set of integration companies work across the US, right? One company which has built at one location. So the GTMs is not different when you do it in the US compared to when you do it in the Europe, right? So if you do it in UK, you'll have to solve differently for Germany, for Italy, for Spain, right? But US is different. It is all like all one market. So that was one of the decision point. But when uh, we also explored like went very deep into understanding how big the space is, right? And we realized that okay, 70 80,000 dealers in the US and roughly same number of dealers exist in Europe, right? So massive market compared to what you see in India, where
yeah,
12 to 15,000 dealers are there, but hardly 1% will be having their websites. In the
yeah,
US, 70 80,000 dealers and everyone has their website,
yeah,
right? So that deeply penetrated the market is US, right? So the images became fundamental for selling the car, right? So we realized that US is like is the market to win, otherwise this company will not work.
yeah,
If you need to build the company, you have to build it for the US only.
yeah, yeah,
So with that particular view and vision, so I started like reaching out cold to some of the dealers in the US, which of course, like every other entrepreneur, it meets
yeah,
with failure.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
we
Been there, done that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So we were able to get interest from most of the top dealerships in the US. So Berkshire Hathaway,
Yeah,
actually multiple times we got like their interest, but we were very early, right? 2 3 years back, we were very early in the space. So some of these executives in those companies used to interact with us, like the product, but eventually we were not able to convert. So this
yeah,
happened for 1 year, where
yeah,
we just interacting with some of the large dealership groups in the US. We're not yet touching the smaller dealers there
yeah,
in the US,
yeah.
right? But that made us realize ki it is very hard to crack the bigger dealership groups from sitting here, because it is very much relationship driven business, right? So if you want to crack an enterprise, you have to be in their good books, you have to like wine and dine with them. So all of these things have to happen.
You have like multiple stakeholders as well, because
Exactly.
there's there's a dealer print. And just for the viewers who don't know about the automotive industry, that
Yeah.
that to
When
sell
you
something in the automotive industry, there are
right.
dealerships. There is the dealership principal who owns the dealerships. There is the general manager. There is
Yeah.
the sales manager, services
Yeah.
manager,
So
and
many
there
folks.
is the IT and digital manager, and there is the OEM, right? Like, which is like a completely different thing altogether. So, I think the whole fundamental of having an ICP in any other industry versus having an ICP in the auto industry is just
Is
so different, and
again.
it's just so challenging. Yeah.
Exactly. And then one peculiar aspect of this automotive industry is it is not extremely connected with the VC ecosystem, right? So you won't
Yes.
find VCs who are deep into the automotive dealerships in the US, right? So
Yes.
so
Yes.
this is also one of the challenging parts of building the GTM in the automotive sector. So, I mean, one of the routes that some SaaS founders like Cruise, who have done that in the past in maybe other sectors, suggested that you have to be in the US, otherwise building company for the US and in the US is virtually impossible. You can't build something by just sitting here in India and just imagining that it will build. And whenever you try to build the company in the US, you'll have to build it from scratch. You'll be building a new spine altogether. That's the process that you should be looking at. That everything that you have, it will go to zero, and it will be the from scratch start.
That
So
one moment when you actually hit that, when you know that, okay, this is like a completely different product market fit altogether.
exactly.
After
I
having
was
built,
really puzzled and nervous that okay,
yeah,
we already have a good scaling business here in this geography, right? So
yeah.
if we completely pivot to that US market, so
I
it
think,
will be
like, I can so relate to it. Like when Shah Rukh Khan said that, whenever I want to feel, like slightly modest or humbled, I just take a flight to the US. I think that's so true for all the tech founders as well, especially in the automotive industry, right? There is US
so
and
much
then
of
there is automotive.
glitter, right? So I went to attend an exhibition in Tampa. That was my first travel related to spine work in the US.
Yes,
So so and there was an exhibition with the name Digital Dealer happening in Tampa. So it was like
correct.
a small size, not an extremely large like NADA
Yeah,
exhibition,
yeah,
but
yeah,
small size exhibition that was there. So when I went there, I was like just amazed by the kind of grandeur that this automotive dealership space had. Right,
yeah.
so many companies setting up like multi-stories booths with all those cars placed inside the booth, right, and displayed. So I mean, the market was just so big that we realized, okay, US is the market to win, but also became very daunting because so much of money spent by these people who are there, like sitting day in day out with the dealers. How do we do that? So next few months, I kept on traveling. Right. So in the first event that I went, we possibly brought in like maybe 30, 40 odd requests. Right. So good meeting connections and all. We started conversations with them, and got like one or two signed up with us in the next 3 months, because the product is easy to roll out,
Adopt. Yeah, yeah.
adopt and roll out, right?
True.
So we got like one or two dealers signed up, and then I kept on attending some of the exhibitions there in the US.
Yeah,
Few one or two exhibitions as visitor, but later on we started setting up our booths there, and those booth setup though didn't bring like enough business for us, but a lot of visibility. So
yeah,
now a lot of dealers basically wherever we were setting up our booths, we started connecting with the dealer groups in those geographies, and we saw
Yeah.
that Spine recall name is there. So they were not taking us as completely newbie in the space,
Right.
Indian
Right.
companies selling from India
Yeah.
and newbie,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
gradually, like maybe 8 to 9 months went by with hardly like 3 4 dealers with us signing up with us. 8 to 9 months, right? So it was painfully slow, extremely slow. Things are not moving, but and also US is one of the markets where you need to be integrated with a lot of ecosystem players, right? You can't just be a standalone provider and expect that people will buy you. So there's website providers, there are inventory providers. So you need to integrate with some of these companies and do like a integrated GTM or maybe some of these activities with them as well. So we next 1 year or so we figured out some of these things, and actually we also did some activity in our inbound funnel, right? So we put up a lot of pages in automotive sector related to our industry, right? So background removal, car photo studio, car photo shoot. So some of these pages are ranking on top three Google searches wherever you search them for, right? So that inbound plus the outbound that we set up, these two engines started working some 6 8 months back for us, and now we are in a position where we are closing about like 50 odd accounts every month in the US, right from sitting here in India. We also had like two people there in the US who have uh, who also taught us a lot of things about how to go about with the GTM there in the US, right? So but like long 2 years journey before we got this working
Excellent.
now.
Excellent. And just to understand that this is, you are inching towards a 3 million ARR very, very quickly.
Yeah,
And again, there are a lot of people who will always say the founder has to sit in the US, it has to be founder led sales. Partly true, partly untrue. But the fact is that every business, every company has to find their own sweet spot. And it's amazing that, and it's not just, I mean, I'm sure some of the decisions that you took at that point in time, for instance, you have to be as involved in your operations also. You are ultimately also
product.
very involved in engineering and product.
Yeah,
US GTM is not the only thing you are doing as a founder,
yeah, yeah,
and it's such a huge amount of cognitive load. You still
yeah.
have to take the right decisions, because quality of decision making matters when you're running the company. That's the only thing that matters. So
Of
how do you
course.
like keep calm in terms of the decisions you took? Of course there could be a few wrong ones, but how do you like maintain your sanity to take the right decisions?
I mean, we have made so many wrong decisions in the past. So,
Yeah.
so it happens, like in an entrepreneur's life. So,
Yeah.
and few good decisions that can really scale for you, can do the magic for you, right? So, so that's also what has happened for
One
us.
example of a bad decision, just it could be something stupid, but one example of a bad decision that probably you would like to just tell that, hey, and it's just for entrepreneurs to say that, look, it's okay to make such decisions. I mean, yeah. So what
Yeah,
would that example be like?
I think uh, one of the I would not say bad decision, but maybe bad timing decision for us. So
Yeah.
we added a lot of complexity in terms of management layer after we
Yeah.
raised our Series A round from Axel. So
Yeah.
that should have happened after maybe Series B, but that slowed us down. So because at the stage where you are building up things, you need more 0 to 1 guys, right? Who are in the thick of things and just getting things done, right? So uh, maybe the process and management layer can happen once you have attained, let's say, 10 million of scale, right? So that is the kind of, or maybe 5 million plus scale, right? So that was one of the decisions that I think if I need to go back and reverse it, it would have like accelerated our journey by at least a year, 1 year, right? So,
Point. But I think,
yeah,
at some level, we have all made this mistake at some point in time,
right.
where we just like, anticipate such things. Of course,
Yeah,
these things are necessary, but as an entrepreneur, you're always optimistic, and in the anticipation, you take a few decisions. It
yeah,
happened. Yeah, it has happened with me too. Again, I think that's just like one thing to take care of. But now coming to decision making, how has your background, like, I mean, you've been like this ideal profile guy, been to IIT, you know uh, done some of these things. So how has your logical, rational, mind developed over the years, and how has that evolved with you in your life, right from your I would say pre IIT days till the beginning of Spine? Can you
Yeah.
walk us through that journey through the lens of decision making? That how has that really optimized you to take the decisions which obviously you have taken so far?
Sure, sure. I come from a business family, right? So, uh, my dad used to run like small businesses in our hometown, which is a small city in Jharkhand. Uh, but, but yeah, I mean, from very early days, have seen how the risks have to be taken to build the business, right? Sometimes those risks pay off, sometimes not, and you need to be, uh, I mean, hard work pays off, like eventually pays off, right? So you need to I mean, there's no shortcut to success is something that realized very very early, that and you need to like grind hard and hard every day. So yeah, early days itself, I was like a kind of a studious kind of a guy, so got into IIT in the first attempt from that particular city, where uh, I was one of the first persons that cracked that particular exam without any external coaching at all. So all of these things like built up a kind of confidence in me that okay, so some like whichever target I set my eyes on is achievable if I put in the right kind of effort and focus on it, right? So I mean, that confidence gotten, and I always wanted to set up something on my own, and that was the direction, though it came very very late in my career, but from the early days still I was associated with a lot of startups, right? So early days of Yatra, early days of one of the startups which didn't work, sadly didn't work. One of my seniors started that just right after the college I joined them. So almost 10 years spent in Yatra, Fashion and You, Rocket Internet, Oyo slightly at the later stages, Amazon as well. But these companies, if you work very closely with, you get into the thick of business, right? You understand very closely how why a business decision is taken by the executives, right? Compared to if you are in the bigger companies, and you are just a small cog in a big wheel, right? So these stints actually helped us. Like, so in fact, the understanding of this problem was also built while I was at Yatra, Oyo, all these companies, right? So those like small things, and the depth of product management, depth of computer vision, depth of tech, depth of business in working with all those business executives in those companies, right? So led us the path which actually helped me found Spine. And in fact, uh, in the past experiences also, the folks that I worked with, the seniors, the co-workers, the founders in the past, when I started Spine, in the first 1 or 2 years of journey, most of the people that I interacted, worked with in the past, actually did angel checks with us, right? So that also uh,
Amazing. I think that's a testament to the kind of employee you were,
yeah.
and I think it's probably not something which a lot of people really have. And I think for all the, I would say, startup buzz and Shark Tanks of the world that we have, like one unpopular opinion I definitely have is that working in a company, any company, startup or big company, is underrated.
Yeah, I mean, no way.
It is underrated, right? I
Yeah.
mean, my personal opinion is that you don't need to start a business unless you have a really compelling reason to do that. But just working in these companies teaches you so much, and in your
Yeah.
case, it's just so heartening to see that the kind of goodwill that you built during those days has carried on till date. And a lot
Yeah.
of people, for whom you worked, with whom you worked,
Yeah, yeah.
have come in and have invested in Spine at various stages.
In fact,
And I think
2 years corporate also teaches you a lot of maturity, right? So
it does.
gets
It does.
you
Yes,
gets you at a particular mindset.
it
Not
does.
only builds up a good network if you do well in those companies,
Yeah.
where of course, some of these guys, because everyone can support you in your tough
Yeah.
times, right? If you're good to them, right?
Yeah.
And if you keep doing like good, then people will come after you. If you have like extremely good work ethics, and people rely on your decision making skills, all of these things,
True.
right? So
True. True. I think just having the right like-minded people, and who are able to like work together and even like interact and share ideas is just so underrated. And
Yeah.
that brings me to my next point, which is spine and eccentric, right? So like here's a picture of us at the NADA last year,
Yes.
where we took that picture. And yeah, so just for record, like a lot of people ask me, do you guys compete with Spyne? Is Spyne really doing what you guys are doing? Aren't you guys in the same space?
This
Don't you
question.
want visualization? And I had at least 10 people ask me this question over the last many months.
Yeah.
And the first thing I say, without even saying yes or no, is I say, yeah, Sanjay is a great friend. And yeah, I think so that's the beginning. And I think
Yeah.
that's again a great example of the kind of networks that we actually build. And I think why this is super interesting, for eccentric in a way, is that like I mentioned right at the beginning of the podcast, that we relate to what you are building. It is not every day that companies from that have emerged from our part of the world
Yeah.
are probably building things in the global automotive market. And
Right.
I think potentially today we have at least two of these companies who are making their mark in some way or the other. So I think it's a great, very proud feeling where we cheer our, I would say, respective successes and everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your take on that, Sanjay?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we complement each other in so many ways, right? So you're building your expertise in the new cars industry, which is still like so under penetrated right now, right? So work with almost all the popular OEMs that are there in the country, and now growing outside, and building a 3-4 million ARR business in India in SaaS is almost unheard of. Right? So which you have been able to do, right? So I mean, just getting to the globe opens up the kind of tremendous opportunity that we could have, right? So, and a lot of synergies that we as a companies are thinking of together in terms of like our tech being best in the used car space, your tech best in the new car space, right? And synergizing and building for the globe. So that is the kind of future path that can possibly and for surely would emerge from here on.
Oh, for sure. And in fact, I look forward to being at the NADA next week.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and
And
one
we are there with our booth, so you are most welcome to be guest of our booth for the next 3 days there,
No,
where
and
we'll
please count on us in case you want us to get our hands dirty and sell Spine. I'm happy to do that.
do that.
Uh, I mean, I always do wherever I get a chance, but this time around you'll be more busy than me, so I'll be happy to do anything that is required to do that. But no, I think it's essentially great to see that to just like be consistent, just to be at the right places at the right time, and then just make our presence felt. There's one last question, which is essentially a lot of people would want to understand about your fundraising story, right? About the fact that, of course, you got Axel at some point in time, and you mentioned about the kind of pivots you had along your journey and everything else.
Yeah,
As an entrepreneur, you often there are times when you don't know where you're going, and you still have to probably have that kind of optimism, which,
yeah,
of course, and you have to also be very true to your investors and everything else.
yeah.
So as an investee, how have you optimized yourself over the last few years? And for any entrepreneur who is, looking to run a funded company in the, at some point in time, how do you think? What would some of the pieces of advice that you would give them, so that they are able to run optimally?
Right. I mean, when I look back 4 years into my journey, right, 4-5 years into my journey, the kind of pivots that we had, one hard pivot that we had, which completely transformed the journey of ours. So, I mean, I feel that if you're not typically 100x more optimist than a normal, like your friend or any other person, then probably entrepreneurship is not your thing, right? So you get into like so many challenges, right? So it is, I mean, not a single day would come in our lives where we think, okay, hey, it's like, I mean, not worth the time. I can just enjoy my life doing something else, right? But you still do.
Someone with an eight-digit paycheck. you know,
Yeah, exactly.
a decade back, before 8-digit paychecks became a thing. It's coming from a guy who actually sacrificed all of that to
Right,
really
right.
come down to
Typically,
zero.
when we talk about the entrepreneur's journey, that if you're
Yep.
not, I mean, extremely optimistic, then you will just like throw the towel the moment it is
Yeah.
the things get tough for you, right? And there are like so many, you'll hardly get one or two bright instances, but most of the dark instances in your journey, right? So
Yeah.
that's how. So we also right, but thankfully some of the angel investors, I'm not too sure why they invested, but they invested, and super thankful to them. And with every investment, every single step that we took forward, we actually build like robust processes, robust businesses moving forward, right? So I remember the pivot which led to Spine's journey, and within that Spine's journey, the entire focus getting onto automotive, right? So we were about to launch automotive in the industry, and we needed like, so we are not a funded company by Axel or anyone. We just had like 4-5 crore odd money raised, right? Very early stage, seed stage company, funded by, backed by some of the angels. But getting Cars 24, Card Dekho, Ola kind of companies to trust a company like ours for their entire cataloging is was a testimony of the fact that this product was working well. So there was an interesting story that we had with Ola, where Ola wanted to launch the pre-owned car business, just equivalent to Spinny or Cars 24 back then, about 3 years back, and they wanted to set up the same studios, but they didn't want to put up that kind of a budget across multiple 10, 15 cities for setting up studios, right? So they connected with us because they saw our product hunt launch and LinkedIn launches, all these
Hmm.
places. Hey,
Hmm.
can we do like an equivalent job of them by
Hmm.
not having those studios? With
Hmm.
I like, just like any other entrepreneur, you say yes, right? So I told yes, we can do. So
Hmm.
we actually got them a makeshift tent kind of a structure setup, which at a cost of maybe 3-4 lakh rupee, and where we experimented a shoot by moving around in a circle. We draw a circle and just moved around car to shoot a video without reflections, and then converted that into a studio looking output, which is what Ola accepted. Ki, okay, this is the kind of output that can work well, even if it is 95%, but that is good to us, right? So they got us a contract. Hey, now launch this across 12 different cities in the country, right? We got a local contractor to set up that particular tent across 12 cities, and within a week, this guy just in like 3-4 lakh rupees sets up all the tents in 12 cities. What happens after a week is suddenly I get a call from Ola ki, hey, we'll sue you. I got like perplexed as what happened suddenly. So all of these tent actually fell down the next day of setting up because of very strong breeze. Because all of these tents were set up in a open yard. So that was like our first instead of launching this particular tech that happened, right? And
Yeah.
but we like then we got to Ola senior management here. We are an expert in digital tech. This is something that we did because you asked us to, but this is like your turf, you can do it. So that was an interesting story with which the Ola happened. And after Ola happened, we got Cars 24 and some of these companies, which 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 led to the trust by some of the VCs, especially Axel, who understood that okay, this is the tech for the future, and this can eliminate a lot of like expensive studio work and can enable tier 2, tier 3 long tails to do the photography, right? So
Yeah.
then Axel's investment happened. Thankfully, Prateek trusted us, Subrata sir trusted us. They backed us with like about a 5 million check, and from there on, the journey started in going deeper into automotive.
Excellent. Excellent. And again, I know what you built is so hard. It's so hard, and it is something which obviously will a lot of work in terms of catching up in case someone thinks this audaciously, which I don't think anyone will, or at least anyone is thinking at this point in time. And I know next week is going to be massive for you at the NEDA. This
Yeah.
episode will probably go live after that, but then wish you all the best for that. We'll come and cheer for you there, and yeah, so just keep making us proud.
Yeah, Varun. Thank you, and looking forward to seeing you at NADA convention in US
Sounds good.
soon.
Sounds All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.